Toyota's talking a big game about a breakthrough in battery tech that could literally change the world of cars forever. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into what might happen if they pull it off and ask the big question, what is the real price of all that progress? I want you to imagine a date, not too far from now. Let's just say February 12th, 2026. This could be the day everything in the auto world just pivots. Not with some huge explosion, but with the quiet, steady hum of a brand new assembly line. You know, for the longest time, the whole dream of electric cars has been stuck on one single massive hurdle, the battery. But what if one invention, just one, could finally, truly solve it?
Yeah, because progress is never that simple, is it? It's messy. Every time we take a huge leap forward, it creates new winners and, well, new losers. And if this technology is everything they say it is, that leap is going to leave a massive footprint.
Okay, so first things first, let's get into the breakthrough itself. What is this piece of tech that could be at the very center of this whole story? Okay, here it is. The heart of it all, Toyota's solid-state battery. And if the numbers are even close to being true, they're just staggering. An 800-mile range. And get this, on a 10-minute charge. That's not just an improvement. That's a revolution in a box. And we are not talking about some prototype in a lab. Toyota's planning to go big. A massive plant, something like this one in Nagoya, Japan, would be churning out thousands of these things. That would be the point of no return. The solid-state era would officially be here. To really get why this is such a big deal, you have to understand the one problem that has haunted EV owners for years, range anxiety. You know that little voice in your head? Think about someone like Sarah, a teacher with a 60-mile commute, always wondering if she's going to get stranded. A battery like this, that fear just, poof, vanishes. Right, but here's the flip side. A solution this big is going to create some massive new problems. If those production lines were to actually start up tomorrow, the economic shockwave would be felt around the world almost instantly. And the first ones to feel it, the traditional energy companies. In just a single afternoon, as the markets finally digest what's happening, analysts are predicting that the value of major oil and gas portfolios could drop by as much as 8%. Just like that. But here's the wild part. It wouldn't just be the old-school energy giants. Even Toyota's electric rivals, the current darlings of the green tech world, they could get absolutely crushed. With their own tech still years behind, their stocks could plausibly just plummet, maybe by as much as 15%. And then the chaos hits the supply chain. The demand for the special materials in these batteries, we're talking lithium metal, spikes by 40%. So for a small electronics repair shop owner, a guy like David, this means the cost to replace the battery in your phone just doubled overnight. And he's the one who has to explain that price hike to his customers. But look, these big abstract numbers only tell part of the story. Behind the market swings are real people. And in any technological disruption this big, there are always going to be very clear winners and very clear losers. This would create a tale of two industrial parks. In the area around the new plant, let's call it Battery Valley, the local GDP could surge by 12%. But just down the road, in Piston Alley, home to all the traditional engine part makers, those workshops could see work just dry up, forcing them to cut their hours in half. So you'd have this incredibly stark contrast. On one side, thousands of new workers flooding into Nagoya, creating a boom town. On the other, you've got people like Kenji, whose family has run a metal stamping workshop for 30 years. Suddenly, his whole life's work is basically obsolete in a world that doesn't need pistons. And the losers wouldn't just be in the old industries. Think about everyday investors like Alina, a retired accountant. Maybe she put her savings in what she thought was the future, rival EV startups. But if Toyota makes its move, that green tech portfolio could just completely collapse, wiping out a decade of her savings. And the impact wouldn't stop with the economy. A technology this disruptive would start to fundamentally reshape our cities, our environment, and our society itself. So the environmental story, it gets really complicated. The promise is real, no doubt. Cities that adopt this early could see a 25% drop in their carbon footprint. But that comes at a cost. Governments might introduce new green levies to cover manufacturing and recycling, adding maybe $400 to your yearly bills. And the unintended consequence? A huge spike in illegal e-waste dumping as people try to avoid those fees. And this right here would become the dirty secret of the clean energy revolution. While the city air is getting cleaner, rural areas could get scarred by e-waste, a direct result of a well-intentioned policy creating a new, unforeseen problem.
This battery could also redraw the map of where we live. With an 800-mile range, extreme distance commuting is suddenly possible. People could flee expensive cities for cheaper rural towns. This could hollow out urban centers, causing property values to drop 20%. But it might also create a new kind of social isolation out in the countryside as these new communities become super fragmented.
So, this brings us to the final part of all this, the most immediate, tangible price of progress, which would be felt in the things that people already own. This could be the scene at car dealerships all across the country. They'd suddenly be overflowing with cars that are now liabilities. Brand new gasoline cars, even last year's EV models, would become almost impossible to sell. These dead lots would basically be a graveyard for billions of dollars in stranded assets.
And the speed of this, it would be breathtaking. A logistics manager named James could watch in horror as the diesel truck he's still paying off loses half its value in just 6 weeks. His loan would now be worth more than the truck itself, trapping him financially. And that brings us to the final, kind of haunting image of this potential new era. We would achieve this incredible new level of mobility. The freedom to go anywhere, anytime, without worrying about fuel. We would have finally conquered distance.
But it leaves us with the ultimate question. If we gain all this freedom, we could also create economic upheaval, environmental paradoxes, and socially distant communities. In solving one of our biggest problems, could we accidentally create a brand new one?